We're going to come together because there's no alternative to do the right thing for the country.
America wants an American president focused on American problems, finding American solutions.
Lawmakers in Washington are still butting heads over negotiations on the nation's debt ceiling. Both sides agree default is not an option, but that June 1st deadline is just 2 weeks away. One of the remaining sticking points is a push from Republicans to add tougher work requirements for some federal aid programs.
Congressional Democrats and the White House oppose the proposal. Meantime, President Joe Biden is now on his way to Japan for the G7 summit, but he cut his trip short and will be back on Sunday to continue negotiations. Good evening and thanks for joining us here on News Center Maine at 5:30. I'm Zach Blanchard.
And I'm Chris Costa. Here in Maine, there are concerns if those two sides do not reach an agreement. Economists say it would quickly send the country into a recession.
Sam Rogers joins us now with more. And Sam, some people are staying optimistic, though.
Yes, absolutely. So, Zach and Chris, just to remind everybody, this is not the first time in recent memory Congress has debated raising our debt limit. And as a country, we've never defaulted on our debt before, which, again, is one reason why politicians are optimistic a deal will get done as soon as this week. But we checked in with financial and economic experts here in Maine to check in on their thoughts about the issue.
The key message and theme is don't panic, but be aware.
That advice coming as Mainers wait for a debt deal in Washington.
You know, I think a challenge and a crisis, or the prospect of it, I think it's always a good time to reassess kind of where you're at.
Using this time to reassess your finances is a tip from Town and Country Federal Credit Union Senior Vice President John Paradise. Especially as the future of our economy and the future of things like interest rates remain uncertain.
That could be greatly impacted by, in either direction, by what happens with the debt ceiling.
We forget that public policy has a very real impact on our lives. Doing the best we can.
Garrett Martin is the president and CEO of the Maine Center for Economic Policy. He says hundreds of thousands of Mainers receive benefits through programs
that are funded through the federal government. Are at risk of losing those if we do indeed default.
Again, he adds, we've been here before.
But I am concerned, both in the near term and in the long term, that this has become less about the substance of the issue and more about the politics of the issue.
For the American economy.
He hopes the politics of debt ceiling debate don't interfere with the recent growth of our economy these past few years.
And hopefully we continue to appreciate that and see that continue to grow and build momentum rather than take a step back solely for the sake of scoring political points.
Both Martin and Paradise add you want to do the best you can to conserve your money in case of any market disruption, and don't be afraid to check in for assistance with your financial institution.
Usually doesn't cost you any money to ask questions, but be willing to ask those questions and don't be afraid to ask a question.
Now, Paradise adds economic concerns can impact Mainers' mental health. So, Zach and Chris, another piece of advice he shared is as we are coming up on the summer months, to don't put off that time away. Make sure you can relax. But of course, you want to be mindful on what you can afford and plan accordingly.